All right, so it looks like we're live here. So I hope everybody's doing well here on Wednesday afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Carnivore Trades. Doing a live stream today. Just kind of FOMC reaction here, and we'll go through the usual stuff. For the most part, I might cut a few things out here and there, but we'll talk about the markets, obviously. If you're not done so already, please give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Don't find me at carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So, markets today, staging a pretty good rally. So we started off pretty quiet for the most part, as usual, pre-FOMC. Then we got a big pop on the actual news release, and to me, this just kind of hedges coming off. That's kind of like what I would make out of it. It's not like Powell or the market really said any. Powell. It's like Powell or the Fed press release was anything special. Basically, dot plot stayed pretty much the same. It wasn't too much different. And again, they just kind of said the same thing that they've been saying. Like it's likely we're gonna see cuts this year. We could change policy if appropriate. But, overall, nothing really changed. So we saw some hedges get closed out, in my opinion, and that's why we're going higher. By the way, we had a really nice day trade here, 5,200, scalped it right near the highs of the day, and we had a nice pullback off of that. And what made me close out, we had a couple scaled out of it, but we took a runner off. We had a runner position that we took off. What kind of tipped me off here was Apple. Take a look at the reaction on Apple. Little pop, little drop, but it never really it started to make kind of like higher lows already, and it started to push up towards that high before the market did. And that told me we're probably going to go higher. Again, I mentioned this, I think I mentioned this yesterday. I know I talked about this with subscribers, but it looks like Apple wants to inch up. I said that yesterday. This starts to go towards 180. It's going to be kind of hard for the market to go down. And notice today a couple of things that happened. Apple was a leader. Tesla was a leader. Look at Tesla intraday. Had a nice pop. Google was a leader as well, although it didn't take out the recent high, that big reaction high, but it was good intraday. IWM was a leader. Look at this big outside move. Dow Transports were leaders, up 1.8. Big move there. VNQ, big outside move here. Took out the highs. You guys noticing anything about this? It's all the sectors I've been talking about that are seeing rotation. What was not good today, relatively speaking? NVDA, it was up 1%, but didn't even take out the high. Guys, didn't even take out the high from this morning, let alone yesterday's high. What else did not do that? SMCI closed down 1.6%. ARM did close up 5%, but still way off the high. So SMH up 1.6, right? You'd say at face value, it's nothing wrong, right? Look at this, intraday here. Nowhere near the highs of the week. And it took us a while just to take out the high of the day, too. So again, what's underperforming now? Semis, right? What's starting to perform? Small caps. Growth stocks, ARK up 3.5. Tesla, Apple, XBI. So things that have been beaten down, things that are starting to see rotation, or things that need to see rotation for this market to keep going up, are starting to see rotation. And things that have been high flyers, like NVIDIA, SMCI, chips, AMD. AMD was down today, guys. Market was up 46 points on the SPX. Triple Qs were up $5.20. You'd think AMD's up 4 or 5%. AMD down, SMCI down, NVIDIA up 1%. Broadcom up 3% here, nowhere near the highs though. So again, starting to see that rotation out of the chips. And then other things, that's one of my big takeaways from today. My other big takeaway is the yield curve starting to uninvert a little bit more. So if we take a look at, I think this is probably the least confusing. We'll use the 2-year. And we'll go to intraday. So we had kind of a algo move here that popped the yield briefly, but wouldn't really count that. The initial reaction was down on yields. We started to retrace here, but take a look at the 30-year. It closed green today. And the initial reaction was quickly down, but the yield, this is where the Fed announcement was, not Powell, the Fed announcement. And look at where we are now on the 30-year yield. We're higher, right? 10-year. We're basically flat, essentially, to where the announcement was. So the long end is staying firm. The short end is coming back in. That is causing the curves to uninvert a little bit. There's the 210. Big outside move. But it's not inverting from just the short end coming down and the whole curve coming down. The long end is remaining firm. There's the 3-month 10-year. It was basically flat. Still not very good. Why am I talking about this? Because it means long-term inflation expectations are remaining embedded with that long end staying strong. If we look at the TYX here, you know, if you didn't know otherwise, you'd say, oh, it's just a normal day and you have a bull flag on the daily. TNX, normal day, little doji, bull flag on the daily. So the long end of the curve still remaining strong here. And again, the market's not going to really care right now, but this is something that is going to be problematic for the market and for the economy in the long term. Right now, can the market still go higher? Absolutely. We just broke out and closed above the highs. I still think we could be close to a turn here. And I know that sounds insane, but this is kind of how things tend to work out before you put in a pivot, because now everybody's throwing in the towel. So we'll see what we get. Does that mean I'm short the market? No. I want to be clear on that. But I don't know. I'd be a little cautious here, just seeing what I'm seeing with the semis. But we are seeing the rotation in other sectors like I've speculated on, and that is obviously healthy. Now, why would we have a correction? Well, it might just be time, right? But we have a pretty big outside move. So right now I'm going to give the market the upside bias to 52.50 here, maybe even into tomorrow. We'll see where we close the week. One red flag that I would look for into the end of the week would be a close below 52. So we should have follow through for bulls here the next 2 days. So you'd want to see that. A close below 52 would be definitely a lackluster weekly close, especially below 51.90, which was the previous high. So if we do inch back, I mean, again, I've seen this happen before. I know it seems ridiculous now, but I've seen, I mean, look at the last time we had the Fed. You know, I think, what was it, in the 31st of January? We had this big sell and then we just reversed it. So it can happen, just so you guys know. But right now, markets are holding up. And again, we're seeing healthy rotation here. Now, again, my thought is that if chips do come in more so, is it going to drag the whole market down? And that's kind of like the bigger risk. Now, when I say a pullback or a correction, I'm not talking about, I know everybody thinks you say, oh, you know, you call for a top or something like that. Everybody thinks, oh, this guy's a dumb bear, you know, he thinks we're going down to the low. No, like a pullback, like 3 to 5%. So that is what I think could happen here in the near term. But right now, market's acting well. And we did see, despite semis being on the weaker side, the Qs were up more than the spiders, which is important. I will say also, still, just be aware, Qs have not made new highs either. So that's the other kind of like reddish flag right now. But again, overall, trend is still up. We're above the moving averages, and that should be respected here until proven otherwise. Especially if you get continued outperformance from Apple, it's going to be hard for the market to go down. I'm very interested to see where this reacts at 180. If this backs off of 180 here, could that be something that takes the market down into the end of the week? But right now, market's still acting well. IWM, as we talked about, big outside move. And again, I've been very consistent on this. The weekly is still very good. And even if we get rid of all these lines here, nice bullish inside bar on the weekly. There's nothing to say this can't go higher here or just consolidate and then go higher later. We did touch 205. You can see right there. And then we backed off a little higher low. And then it did close above that on the daily. 210 is still resistance, though. So that's still going to be the level. I really wish this just got down to this blue trend line here. It would have been a nice dip buy opportunity for the IWM. But again, it's still holding up. You got to close above 205. So that's still acting pretty well. Diamond here, again, there you go. There's your 395. Been talking about that really since back here. And there it is, 394.99. Next level past that, and we're just going to say 400. Again, 40,000 Dow, right? They might want to hit that. before anything else happens. But nice move there for the Dow, and that's holding up. We talked about the semis. Again, relative weakness, so just keep an eye on that there. The SOX or SOXX, either one, same thing. It did get saved at that trend line here. What I'd be watching for though is if this puts in a lower high and comes down again. I don't think that trend line will hold, but right now it got saved, and again, there's no real problems here. IGV continuing to ping pong, so it looks like it was a good idea to adjust these trend lines because now we're just inside of that range. It is a triangle, and it's above the moving averages on the weekly and daily, so again, no problems there. We talked about the transports. Again, 1 day little fake out below the trend line. Boom, 1, 2 up. Weekly still intact. No problems there. And by the way, transports on the weekly, this trend is starting to separate and show strength. So we're seeing those moving averages kind of like get space in between one another. 20 above the 50, 50 above the 100, 100 above the 200. That's healthy. So just so you know. XHB, that got to our level. It actually overshot by a few cents, 108.72. I said 108.25 or so. Again, give or take, it's not a short level. It's just an upside objective. I don't know about another level here. We'll just say 110 for now, but XHB continues to be strong. It doesn't matter if rates up or rates down. XHB is just strong. VNQ up 56. Again, I like this on the weekly. Still looks pretty good there. Would have been a nicer close. You still got some resistance up here with 86.49, but pattern-wise, it's still just fine. XLF surging. That is not a new high yet. 41.70 is technically the double top. And again, we have that silly fake print that's at an insane level right now. Could it go up there? It certainly could. That's on the weekly, and that is still there. So we'll see how that does. But we're only 20 cents away, 15 cents away from double top there on XLF. KRE was up today, up 3.13. Again, I still do not like the weekly on this. So failure green bar there, and now we have a red bar inside of that. This can break down at any time. It doesn't mean it has to, but that has now done enough consolidation to break out, or break down rather. KBE on the other hand is stronger. Yes, you have the red, but it's inside of the bigger green. And this is actually an okay chart here to go higher, believe it or not. At broker dealers here, new all-time highs. Again, you guys know what I'm going to say. It's way overbought on the bigger time frames, but overbought doesn't mean it has to come down anytime soon. Oil was actually down a little bit today, but it did, it came off the lows. Again, I'm still looking for 84.50, 84.75 on this, and I think it should get there. I don't really see any reason why it wouldn't. Why did it pull back today with everything else rallying? I mean, it's had it was at 76.50 a week ago, and then it got up to 83. So it can have a red day. Nothing terrible. XLE still holding up. It did finish down 13 cents, but still holding up well. XOP up 78 basis points. That is into some resistance now. OIH up 45 cents. That continues to be strong. And that is into some resistance as well. Next level, though, if it keeps going higher, is right around 340 or a pierce of 340. Uranium, CCJ holding up okay, 82-cent gain there. Again, I'm watching that by the end of the week. Does that close above 42? It'll be a little bit of a tell. And URNM is still safe. That is looking good, up 4.5% on the day. Nat gas down 2.58. Again, I think this needs to make a new low. And then I get very interested in that. But not until then. I'm just not seeing any relative strength out of it at the moment. Dollar index came in pretty sharply, down just under 0.5%. Now the danger here for the dollar is the lower highs, right? So we have higher lows, but you don't want lower highs. I would not want this getting taken out here, 102.35 area. I will say for the dollar yen though, this is still really strong. It did come off the highs here, but it got a nice bounce. Look at this, snapping right back up. Here's another reason why I say that, don't celebrate too quickly the market move, because if this breaks above 152, I mean, I don't know what'll happen. They'll have to do something, I would imagine, but If they don't, and they are going to unwind that carry trade, that's the real risk in the market. The Fed is more of a red herring right now to what I think is a bigger risk. This can and will overtake the Fed in terms of importance, right? Like what matters if we hike in June versus July versus if like the global carry trade unwinds, right? Keep an eye on that. It's still strong. Dollar is still weak though. Dollar itself rather, but yen not doing a ton here. Watch those lower highs. We'll see where this closes by the end of the week. By the way, we knew 104 was going to be resistance. I told you guys that was going to be resistance, so we should have expected a pullback there anyway. Gold had a really big move. It is still a little extended, even though it's pulled back, but nice pop, not above the highs yet. If this does continue to chug higher, 2275 is kind of a macro target for it. Silver had a nice move as well. I don't think this is going much higher here, though, in the short term. The big picture, it's going a lot higher, but short term, I think these pivots are going to just give it too much trouble. But it did have a nice pop. And again, we'll continue to respect that. Platinum, higher low there, or higher low setup. Palladium, same thing, looks good. Copper dipped, but closed back green. Again, that's just overbought and needs to consolidate more. And then Bitcoin, Bitcoin was kind of quiet today considering, but it did recover back to 66.5. Take a look at what it did on the FOMC. This was at 1 o'clock, and then it just went sideways. So no reaction really from Bitcoin on FOMC, but it did power up by the end of the day. Risk assets, for the most part, ended higher. Makes kind of a lot of sense to me. Alts also came back in. Look at ETH. Good 50 MA hit there for ETH. Some of the other alts acting well here and getting a bid. So that space is okay. I still think it's a little bit of a red flag that we didn't close above that weekly high, but there's nothing saying we can't just consolidate and then do it later at this point. If that changes, I'll let you know. So that's pretty much it. Again, I know we had a nice rally here. I'm just being careful. There's a lot of like cyclical factors here that I'm watching that make me think we could see a correction here. There's no technical factor just yet. Actually, well, there is on the weekly, but as far as the price action itself looks fine here in the short term. If that changes again, I'll let you know. But again, next target here is 5250. That's just a short-term area. And again, it's almost interesting how it just keeps lining up with this upper trend line here. So I'll be watching that into tomorrow, into the end of the week. Big red flag would be a close below 5190 though. So anyways, let's get into questions here. And hope everybody's doing well today. Yeah, so Marcel's saying, thought 3 cuts were priced in already. I think they are. What I think needs to happen for the market to sell is they either have to cut or they have to hike. So they have to do something different. Until then, we're kind of just in purgatory as far as the Fed is concerned. And I think you're seeing this rally now because there's more people willing to bet on a turn than they are to bet on a continuation. What I mean by that is going into these volatility events, FOMC, CPI, everyone knows that inflation's upticking again. And I think the market's like, if the Fed was hawkish today, it wouldn't be something that would surprise the market. We know inflation's upticked. We know oil's upticked. So you've got those hedges in place beforehand. And if the dot plot doesn't change and if Powell doesn't change, those hedges are going to come off, which is compressing volatility, making volatility go down essentially, makes risk assets go up. I think that's kind of the dynamic there, more so than like the fundamental picture. I think where the market would actually change is if when they start cutting, or if they are forced to hike. That's going to be the difference. I think while the longer the Fed remains unchanged, the better it is for this market from a technical and mechanical standpoint. All right, nice, Elliot. Yeah, I'm here for you. Yeah, Tozy saying vols get sucked out and all the market can do is rally 1%. No leadership, semis, and Qs didn't make new high. The Russell did, though. So the Russell acted well. Didn't make a new local high, but it made a new high for the week, and it took out this red bar. But you're seeing like the rally kind of spread out. Like I like seeing ARK up 3.5. I like seeing Tesla. Apple was very strong today. So there is rotation going on. Again, that doesn't mean that we can't have a correction. It just means that I think if we do, I'm gonna look for higher lows for now. I do think it's still very, very likely that we do get one soon. And again, I'm not talking like 20%. I mean like 5. But as long as that rally broadens out, it's not anything to be too concerned with. And the market being up only 1%, when you're in a bull market, you're not going to get huge moves. So we're well off the lows now. King saying, how likely do you think we get a squeeze of Bitcoin miners prior to having? I think they've already squeezed. I don't know if this looks like a squeeze to me. It looks already like it's happened. 440 on MSTR to 18. That's 400% in 2 months. It's already squeezed. I would have liked to buy this. I didn't really see this until late yesterday. I would have totally bought that 20 MA though on Coinbase and MSTR. It got a nice bid today though. But yeah, I mean, I think they've already been squeezing. So, I mean, I'm not saying they can't go higher, but for me to like participate in it, I'd need to see something. Yeah, I just can't, like, it's literally up 400% in 2 months. I can't chase it at this level. Now for a quick bounce on pullbacks like that, yeah, I'd play them, but I like things that haven't run yet. So if I'm gonna play it, I'm gonna play a halving squeeze. I'm gonna play it with alts that are, up, right? But they're doing like this. That's how I'm playing. I'm gonna play with stuff that hasn't run yet, and that way it can catch up. I don't want to play it with something that's literally just doing this, because at any point the top could be in, and then you get a huge decline, and now you're left holding the bag for the next 5 years. So I can't really jump in at this point. Tozy saying, Powell pretty much said, we acknowledge inflation risk and economic growth and employment going down, so two-sided risk, you decide. Yeah, it's funny too that he's been saying that line for the last 2 years. We understand the hardship that inflation brings on Americans. Oh, by the way, here's some more inflation. Are they putting them in the middle now? This is unbelievable. I think I'll try to disable them next time. It's just they've gotten absolutely out of control with ads. And I don't even really make anything off of them. I make like $100 a month maybe from putting out 5 shorts a week and 10 long format videos a week. I probably make $100 a month. It's really not even, the ad revenue is like not even worth doing. I would do it if it was, I mean, the exposure is what I do it for, but yeah, that's pretty insane. Like in the middle of the stream, that's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, it wasn't really too big of a move today, but you also got to remember we're not going to have bigger. If we're in a correction in a bear, we're going to have big moves. But when we're in the bull market, like 1% off the all-time highs, we're going to have smaller moves on FOMC. That's true. They did buy some stocks too, and Nancy Pelosi stole my idea. I've been there. Guys in the trading room with me have heard this one enough times. But I had Palo Alto. I swear, I said, guys, if this gets to 260 tomorrow on earnings, I'm buying it. And then it came out the next morning that she bought Palo Alto, and it did that. So I'm not happy with her front running my trades. But yeah, they like those chips. I guess a lot of those senators did sell Intel though, from what I heard. I think they're ending some type of deal with Intel. The government is. What dip, Zach? That's the problem. I would love for a dip to buy, but there isn't one. I mean, day trading, yeah, buying. I like buying dips, and I've been doing that pretty well. But there's where would you suggest to buy a dip here? There hasn't been one since the low. We have not had, outside of this one little 4-day decline here, where it was really just due to the tax harvesting. That's the only dip that we've had. We have not breached the 20 moving average since January. Day trading is fine, but for swings you kind of have to. I can't pay up for it up here. Is FedEx reporting tomorrow? They always get dumped on earnings. Or is it today? Nothing going on there. It says March 20th on this one site I'm looking at. Let me see. Tomorrow, okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But it's only ever always temporary though with this market now. Yeah, I would say I was a little surprised at copper myself. Not so much today, but just in general. I didn't think it was ready to do this quite yet. But pretty good move there, and it should have to back off of this area right now. There's a lot of resistance up here in this area, a lot. But it has had a really nice bid, and it's acting well here. Copper's doing pretty good. Tepu asking about oil. Yeah, oil's fine. Oil should get up to 84.50, 85. I don't see any issues with it right now. It should still get up there. Yeah, if you broke back below 79, then it would probably. I have to see what it looks like, but that would probably do it for oil right now. But I'm right now I'm projecting 84.50, 85 right now. Yeah, but it did back off a little bit today. But I mean, it's been up for the last week, so it's no big deal. Yeah, and gold's been acting well. If that continues higher, it should get up to about 22.75. That's the next kind of macro target I have for it. It's going to be interesting too with gold acting well, and us still seeing that long end remain anchored, and even possibly rising. That's going to be a dynamic that we haven't seen in a long time. That's it's a question I ask every day. Will we ever see a 5% correction of SPX in our lifetime? No, we won't. Charge asking about biotech. Biotech is getting rotation love right now. We held the 50 MA. We went up here. We broke out. We're back testing it. It's holding. I think XBI is in a decent position here. I think it needs to do some more backing and filling, but this could be a catch-up sector for sure. And yeah, gold's holding up. If by chance it doesn't break out right now and it loses 22 or 21.50, you'll have support at 21 and 20.75. But right now, it's acting well, and my macro target is 22.75 right now for that. Oh, we'll talk about that tomorrow, Matt. Yeah, price discovery has been outlawed. Yep. Coffee asking about nat gas. I still think it needs to make a new low. So I see absolutely no relative strength here. So They're below all the moving averages. Seasonality, yeah. But the thing with nat gas too is it could put a bot, like look what it did last year. Like it put in a bottom here, and it didn't really do much until like the end of the year. And even if you were like, even if you owned futures contracts in this, you didn't make any money off of that increase because the only increase that it had last year was in contango, like the contract jumps. So I want to see it make a new low, and then I'm interested. It can be overbought for a long time. But I do think I am still on the watch for a possible reversal signal. I think we're in the period where I would look for that period of time. I don't think they've really decoupled from Bitcoin all that much. There's a chart of MSTR. That's chart of there's Bitcoin right there. Coinbase, Mara. You know, they're pretty much all doing the same thing. I mean, if you're talking about the ones that are beaten down more, I guess that's a different dynamic. They could have a squeeze. I just wouldn't touch like the ones that are really leading right now. But I mean, if you look, you can see it went up and then now it's curling back up. Bitcoin's higher today with yeah. So if you're talking about like the really beaten ones down, ones, then yeah, I guess you could make a little bit more of a case. But don't necessarily think like of, oh, it's decoupled because it's down more. Like just look at the price action. Is it up versus it down? It doesn't matter how much it's down. Just look at, is it going up with it or down with it? Yeah, no problem, buddy. Yeah, Travis, that's how it always is. I mean, I didn't even join. Every time we have FOMC, I don't even do the trading room in the morning. I just started at 1:45, just because that's generally what's going to happen every day. We're just going to go sideways. There's no point in sitting there for that. Yeah, XLP SPY. Yeah, for sure. XLU. I do look at that sometimes. I mean, sometimes I just, generally I can just eyeball it, but yeah, I mean, I'm not against anyone doing that. XLPs, I missed the low in this by like 20 cents. I was really just looking for a Pierce of 65, and it just didn't get there. Look at this. Look at what it's done since then. So yeah, XLP has had a really nice comeback. XLU bottomed around the same time too, right around that same time. Yeah, $1.40. I think I would get pretty interested. Anthony's saying if inflation is a problem with natty G spike, theoretically, yeah, it should. I think that'll happen when inflation's upticking right now, but I don't think we're anywhere near like the next big wave of inflation, or if we are near it, it's just starting now. I think that'll happen when we get the next big wave of inflation. But right now, there's a lot of supply stuff that goes on. It's not just linear. Like inflation is bullish all commodities. It is technically a tailwind, but there's lots of other things that go on. Seasonality. There's our export facility, like European demand, has a lot to do with U.S. natural gas prices. So there's other factors going. Now, yes, seasonally, I am looking for a bottom here, but I would really like if we could just spike that low one more time, I would definitely be more aggressively in. Product Sing saying NYA. Let me just look at the equal weight. Yeah, equal weight's not making a new high. It's not, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's pretty close. And we saw this all last year too, right? So the equal weight didn't make new highs, new year-to-date highs until December. And we just made new all-time highs a few weeks ago. And the market's still doing just fine. So it's something to watch, but I don't think it's anything that we would look at and say, there's immediate danger right now. So, the immediate danger, I think, if there's anything from a macro standpoint, it's this. If that breaks 152, I think we'll get some fireworks at the very least. But it is pulling back a little bit now. But it came off the lows. So we'll see. But all right, cool. I'm gonna wrap up here, guys. Got through all the questions, so nice. Again, I try to do these, a little bit more often. When we did one like a month ago, so try and do them a little bit more often here, especially on like big days like FOMC, stuff like that. But again, markets are, they're continuing to hold up and kind of defy the odds here. And that's all there really needs to matter. The one thing that would change that is if we had a high volume sell on the SPY, meaning 100 million shares or more, that would get my attention. And I would definitely start looking for that would definitely be more of a sell signal. The one thing I would look at, again, into the end of the week, again, tomorrow's close and Friday's close. If we're below 52 or especially 51.90, that would be a massive red flag for me going into the weekend. But right now, again, we'll continue to take it one day at a time and continue to give the market the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. So. Okay, yeah, I'll have to take oh, you're saying with that condition. Okay, all righty, cool. Yeah, it is on a tear right now. Yeah. Well, regardless, it's definitely not an issue currently. So, Anthony saying if USD yen breaks, how quickly would it be a reaction? If it breaks impulsively, I would think pretty fast. Yeah. So we'll see. All right, guys. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Awesome, good stuff. All righty, cool, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys very much. You guys take care. Thank you guys all, and I will see you guys all in the video tomorrow.